Subscribe for more. My name is Emily, and I'm 71 years old. I never thought that at this age, I would have to live through something as horrible as what I'm about to tell you. What happened to my granddaughter Monica is something no child should ever experience. And it changed everything. It all started at my son Michael's birthday party. I had made my famous chocolate cake, the one that Monica loves so much. I was excited to see her. Every time I visited, she would run up to me with her golden hair bouncing, shouting, "Grandma Emily." But this time was different. The moment I walked into the living room, I saw her sitting in a corner with her head down, wearing a pink baseball cap that was too big for her. Something wasn't right. My grandma's instinct kicked in immediately. I felt the urge to rush over to her, but something held me back. There was a feeling in my chest that something terrible had happened. I walked up slowly, trying not to alarm her. "Monica, my love, why don't you give me a hug?" I asked gently. She looked up at me, and my heart dropped when I saw her eyes. They were full of tears, tears that no 6-year-old should have to cry. "Grandma, I can't take off my hat," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Why not?" I asked, kneeling down beside her, trying to stay calm. "Mommy says I look ugly without it," she said, her lower lip quivering like a leaf in the wind. My hands began to shake as I reached out to gently lift her hat. What I saw left me breathless. Her beautiful, golden hair, the hair I used to comb with so much love, was gone. Completely gone. It had been shaved off, not cut, but shaved to the scalp. No tenderness, no care. Just harsh, careless brutality. My chest tightened. I couldn't believe my eyes. "My God!" I gasped, feeling the tears well up in my eyes. "Who did this to you?" "Mommy did it," she whispered softly, looking toward her mother, my daughter-in-law, Paula. At that moment, Paula appeared from the kitchen, holding a glass of wine, laughing as if nothing had happened. "Oh, Emily, did you see Monica's new look?" she said with a smile, like this was a joke. "Doesn't it look modern?" "It's the new fashion." "Modern?" I repeated in disbelief, my voice shaking with anger. "Paula, how could you do this to a child?" Paula shrugged, completely nonchalant. "It was necessary. This kid never wanted to wash her hair. She always cried when I tried to comb it. So, I decided to solve it once and for all. I couldn't hold it in anymore. But she's just a 6-year-old girl, Paula. How could you completely shave her head?" "It's just hair, Emily. It grows back," she said dismissively, taking another sip of her wine as if she were talking about a bad haircut. I was in shock. How could she be so cold, so indifferent? This wasn't just hair. It was Monica's pride, her self-esteem, and Paula had ripped it away without a second thought. I turned to my son, Michael, who was serving drinks in the kitchen like nothing was wrong. "Michael," I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. "You knew about this." He turned around, looking uncomfortable. "Mom, Paula decided it was for the best. Monica's hair was always tangled. It was time for a change." My heart sank. "And you let her do this to your daughter?" I asked, trying to control my fury. "How could you stand by and watch her get humiliated like this?" Michael sighed, looking at the floor. "It's not that big of a deal, Mom. It's just hair. It grows back. Just hair." How could they be so blind? How could they not see what was really happening here? To me, it wasn't just hair, it was a piece of Monica's identity, her confidence, and Paula had destroyed it in one cruel moment. I turned back to Monica, who was still crying silently, her little body shaking in my arms. "Don't cry, my love," I whispered, holding her tight. "Grandma is here." But inside, I was boiling with anger. How many times had I seen Paula tear down my granddaughter's spirit? How many times had I silently stood by while Paula belittled Monica, making her feel small and insignificant? Enough was enough. I wasn't going to be silent anymore. I took Monica into the bathroom, away from the chaos of the party. I locked the door and knelt down to her level. "Tell me exactly what happened, my love," I said softly, brushing her tears away. Monica looked up at me, her little hands trembling. "Yesterday morning, Mommy woke me up really mad. She said my hair was dirty, that I was a dirty girl. But I had just taken a bath the day before, Grandma. I swear." Her tiny voice cracked, and she sobbed. My heart broke. How could Paula lie like this? How could she make her own daughter feel so ashamed of herself? "Mommy took me to the bathroom and used Daddy's razor to shave my head," Monica continued, her voice barely a whisper. "She told me to stay still, or she was going to hurt me." I cried and begged her to stop, but she kept going, and all my hair fell to the floor. I felt like the world had stopped. I could barely breathe, the anger and heartbreak overwhelming me. "Did Daddy help her?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "No," Monica said quietly. "Daddy was in the living room watching TV. I screamed for him to help, but he didn't come." My blood ran cold. Michael had been in the other room, hearing his daughter scream and beg for help, and he did nothing. Absolutely nothing. "And then what happened?" I asked, my voice shaking with emotion. "Mommy gave me a hat and said I had to wear it because I looked ugly without it. She said it was my fault for not washing my hair. She told me to stop crying, or she would cut my eyelashes, too." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. "She threatened to cut your eyelashes?" I whispered in disbelief. Monica nodded, tears streaming down her face again. "She said ugly girls cry a lot, and that if I didn't stop, she would cut my eyelashes, too." I held her tightly, feeling like my heart was shattering. How could Paula say such things to her own daughter? How could she make a 6-year-old feel so worthless? I took a deep breath, trying to control my emotions. "Monica, listen to me very carefully. You are the most beautiful girl in the whole world. With or without hair, you are perfect, okay?" She nodded, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. The damage had already been done. I could tell that the humiliation Paula had caused would take time to heal. We walked back into the party, where the music was still playing, and people were laughing, chatting, and carrying on as if nothing had happened. I looked for Paula. She was laughing with my sister, Brenda, as if she hadn't just traumatized her daughter. I walked up to them, my voice icy cold. "Brenda, you knew about this? You knew what Paula did to my granddaughter?" Brenda looked at me, confused. "What are you talking about?" "She completely shaved her head, Brenda." "Look at her," I said, taking the hat off Monica. Brenda gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "Oh my God, why? Why would she do this?" Paula interrupted with a laugh. "I already explained to everyone. It was necessary. Monica wouldn't wash her hair. It was always dirty and tangled." I exploded. "Dirty? Her hair was perfectly clean. I washed it just 3 days ago when she was at my house." "Well, it got dirty fast," Paula said, shrugging dismissively. "Kids are like that." Brenda looked at me with wide eyes. "Paula, this is too much. You could have just cut it. Not shaved it like this." Paula rolled her eyes. "It's just hair. It will grow back. Why is everyone overreacting?" I felt the rage boil inside me, but I turned to look at Monica. She was hiding behind me, trembling with fear. I felt the weight of her tiny body in my arms, and my heart broke all over again. "Monica," I said softly, my voice shaking with emotion, "do you want to go get some water with me?" She nodded, her hand still gripping my dress, but Paula blocked my path. "No, Monica stays with me," she said in a cold, demanding voice. I felt my heart racing. "Monica, do you want to go with Mommy, or do you want to stay with Grandma?" Monica clung to me, her eyes wide with fear. "I want to stay with Grandma." Paula sneered, crossing her arms. "She's been hiding behind you long enough. She needs to socialize." But I wasn't going to let her. Not today. The tension in the room felt suffocating. I wasn't about to allow Paula to bully Monica into doing anything she didn't want to do. With my arms firmly around my granddaughter, I walked past Paula, ignoring the sneer on her face. Monica clung to me tighter, her small fingers curled into the fabric of my dress. "Mom," Michael called from the kitchen. "What is all this about?" "Michael," I said, my voice tight with frustration, "you need to wake up and see what's happening to your daughter." But Michael only shook his head, his expression weary. "Mom, I'm tired of this drama. You're blowing things way out of proportion. It's just hair. Just hair." Those words again. I felt like they were cutting through me like a knife. It wasn't just hair, it was Monica's spirit, her confidence, her sense of self. How could Michael not see that? I could feel my anger bubbling up, but I took a deep breath and forced myself to calm down. I couldn't lose control. Not now. Monica looked up at me with those innocent, heartbroken eyes. "Grandma," she whispered, "I want to go home with you. Please." I couldn't answer right away. Not because I didn't want to, but because my heart ached. How had this become her reality? A 6-year-old girl shouldn't have to fear her mother. I turned to Michael, who was still standing there in the kitchen, looking frustrated. "Michael, do you see what's happening here? Your daughter is terrified of her own mother. You need to do something about this." But he only sighed and took a long drink from his glass. "I can't deal with this right now. It's too much, Emily. It's just hair. She'll get over it." Get over it? I felt my pulse quicken as I turned to face him. "You don't understand, Michael. This is more than just hair. This is about Monica's dignity, her self-worth. And right now, she feels ugly. She feels like she's not good enough. And you're standing there, acting like it's nothing." "Mom, you need to calm down," Michael said, his voice low and almost pleading. "You're making it worse." I shook my head. "No, Michael. It's you who are making it worse. By not standing up for your daughter." I looked at Monica, who was still holding on to me. "Monica, my love," I whispered, "let's go to the bathroom. I need to talk to you." Monica followed me quietly, her small hand clasped in mine. I locked the door behind us, and we sat down together on the floor. "Tell me everything, sweetie," I said gently, stroking her back. "I need to know what happened. All of it." Monica looked up at me, her face full of fear. "Mommy said I was dirty. That I didn't wash my hair right. And that I was a bad girl because of it." I could feel my blood boil. A bad girl because she didn't wash her hair right? That wasn't just a punishment, that was abuse. "And then what happened, baby?" Monica wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "Mommy made me sit still while she shaved my head. I cried and told her to stop, but she didn't listen. She said I was ugly. She said I deserved it." My heart shattered. How could anyone say that to a child? How could anyone make their own flesh and blood feel worthless? I hugged her tightly, trying to comfort her the best I could. "Monica," I said softly, "you are not ugly. You are beautiful. And no one, has the right to make you feel otherwise. Do you hear me?" She nodded, her head resting against my chest. "I don't want to go back, Grandma. I don't want to go back to Mommy and Daddy." I kissed the top of her head, trying to hold back my tears. "I know, sweetie. And I won't make you go back until I'm sure you're safe. I promise you that." The sound of raised voices outside the bathroom made me tense. Michael and Paula were arguing again, but this time it sounded different. Their words were sharper, more urgent. I could hear Paula's angry voice cutting through the noise. "We need to get her back, Michael. Now." Michael's voice sounded tired, defeated. "I don't know what to do anymore, Paula." I sighed, my chest tightening. The longer this went on, the harder it was to see a way forward. The damage had been done. Monica's trust in her parents had been shattered. Could it ever be rebuilt? I turned to Monica, who was still trembling in my arms. Sweetie, do you want to stay here with Grandma for now? She nodded immediately. Yes, Grandma. Please. I'm not going to let anyone hurt you again, I promised her, my voice thick with emotion. You are safe with me. Always. Just then, the door opened and Michael walked in, followed by Paula, who was still holding her glass of wine. Her face was red, her eyes wild with anger. Emily, Michael said, his tone pleading, we need to talk. I crossed my arms over my chest. What is there to talk about, Michael? You've seen what's happening here. Your daughter is broken, and it's your fault for not stepping in sooner. Paula took a step forward, her eyes flashing. I didn't do anything wrong, Emily. She needed discipline. She needed to learn responsibility. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Discipline? You call humiliating a child discipline? You call cutting her hair off like she's some sort of criminal discipline? Paula, you have no idea what you've done to her. Michael looked between the two of us, his face pale. Enough, Emily. Please. You're not helping her by making this worse. I looked at my son and shook my head. You don't get it, Michael. She's my granddaughter, and I will do whatever it takes to protect her from you, from Paula, from anyone who tries to hurt her. The tension in the room was thick, and I could see the fear in Monica's eyes as she looked up at me. She knew this wasn't a safe place anymore. I turned to her, bending down to her level. Monica, I whispered, do you want to stay with Grandma? I won't make you go anywhere you don't feel safe. She nodded again, her little hand clutching mine tightly. I want to stay with you, Grandma. I stood up and faced Paula and Michael, my voice cold. I'm taking Monica with me. We're leaving. You can't stop me. Paula stepped forward, blocking my way. You can't just take her, Emily. She's my daughter. I looked her straight in the eye. She's my granddaughter, Paula. And I will protect her at all costs. Michael stood frozen, his eyes full of pain. Mom, please. No, I said firmly. Not until I know she's safe. Not until you two figure out what's really going on here. Monica will not go back into that environment until she is safe. And with that, I walked out, Monica's small hand in mine. The drive back to my house was the longest I'd ever taken in my life. The silence between Monica and me spoke volumes. She sat quietly in the back seat, clutching her teddy bear like it was her only source of comfort. I kept glancing at her through the rearview mirror, watching the tears that occasionally fell from her eyes, though she never made a sound. I could tell she was exhausted. She had been through so much, and it showed. I was angry. Furious, actually. How could Michael and Paula do this to their daughter? How could they not see what they were doing to her? Monica wasn't just a child who had lost her hair, she had lost a piece of her childhood innocence. She had been made to feel like she was ugly, unwanted, and insignificant. I arrived at my house and immediately helped Monica out of the car, holding her hand as we walked inside. She was still quiet, but I could see a small spark of comfort in her eyes as she entered the familiar surroundings of my home. The walls of my house had always been a sanctuary for her, a place where she could feel safe and loved, free from fear. Let's get you settled, sweetie, I said softly, brushing her hair, what was left of it, out of her face. I led her to the guest room, which I had transformed into a temporary bedroom for her. The walls were painted a soft pastel color, and I had arranged her stuffed animals and a cozy blanket on the bed. She climbed onto the bed without a word, curling up under the covers. Do you want to talk about anything? I asked gently, sitting next to her. Monica shook her head. She didn't need to talk right now. She just needed time. Time to heal, time to feel safe, time to not be afraid of the world around her. I sat with her for a while, my hand resting on her back, offering comfort in the silence. I could hear the distant sound of the wind outside, but inside, the world felt still. For the first time in what seemed like forever, I allowed myself to breathe. I was here with Monica, and nothing would hurt her again. Hours passed, and soon, I found myself in the kitchen, preparing dinner for the two of us. I decided to make her favorite meal, pasta with tomato sauce and cheese. It was a simple meal, but one that always brought her comfort. As the scent of the sauce filled the house, I couldn't help but think about the events of the past few days. How had things gotten so bad? How had Michael and Paula allowed this to happen to their daughter? I tried calling Michael again, hoping to speak with him, but I didn't get an answer. I could feel my patience thinning. I was tired of the lies, the excuses, and the manipulation. Monica needed her parents, yes, but she needed them to be the kind of people who could protect her, not harm her. Just as I was setting the table, my phone rang. It was Michael. "Mom, we need to talk." His voice was shaky, filled with regret, but also something else, fear. I sighed. "Michael, I'm not sure what more there is to say. I'm doing what I believe is best for Monica. You're her father, but you're failing her right now. You've failed her for months." "I know," he said quietly. "And I'm sorry. I've been so caught up with Paula. I've ignored all the signs, and I see that now. But Emily, I want to make things right. Please, just let me see her. Let me talk to her. Please." I could hear the desperation in his voice. I closed my eyes, the pain of what had happened weighing heavily on my heart. "You want to see her?" I said, my voice firm. "Michael, you've already failed her. And now you want me to hand her back to you just like that?" "No, Mom, please listen to me," he continued, his words rushing out. "I'm in therapy now. I'm trying to understand what's been happening. Paula's in therapy too. We're both trying to get better. I want to be a better father to Monica. I need her in my life." His words sounded hollow to me, empty promises I had heard 1,000 times before. The same excuses, the same "I'll do better" that had never come to fruition. I wanted to believe him, I really did. But I couldn't ignore what I had seen. Monica's fear, her anxiety, her need for safety, it was all right in front of me, and I wasn't about to just hand her over to the people who had caused her so much pain. "You want to be a better father?" I said, my voice cold. "Then prove it. Show me you can put Monica first. Show me that you understand what's really going on here. Don't just say the words. Show me." There was a long pause on the other end of the line, and I could tell Michael was struggling to find the right words. Finally, he spoke. "I don't know what to do, Mom. But I'm trying. I swear I am. I'm not asking for you to fix everything overnight, Michael," I said, my voice softening just a little. "But you need to realize something. Monica is terrified of you and Paula right now. She doesn't feel safe. And until I see real change, until I see proof that you've changed, she stays with me." I ended the call, my heart heavy with the weight of the decision I had just made. But I knew I had done the right thing. Monica needed me. She needed me to be strong for her when no one else could. That night, as we sat down to dinner together, I watched Monica eat her pasta, a small smile playing on her lips. She was so much more relaxed here. She wasn't worried about being scolded or punished for something she hadn't done. She was just a little girl, enjoying a meal with the person who loved her most in the world. "Grandma," she said, her voice small but filled with hope, "do you think my hair is going to grow back pretty again?" I smiled softly, reaching out to stroke the top of her head. "Of course, my love. Your hair will grow back more beautiful than before. And you're going to help me brush it every day if you want." Monica's eyes lit up. "Really?" "Yes," I said. "Really." The next few days were quiet, but it was a good kind of quiet. Monica had her therapy sessions with Dr. Veronica Herrera, who was kind, patient, and understanding. I could see Monica's confidence slowly returning, piece by piece. It wasn't going to be easy, but I knew we would get through it together. But there was still a long road ahead of us. Michael and Paula were still fighting to regain custody of Monica, and the court hearings were just around the corner. I wasn't sure what the outcome would be, but I wasn't about to give up on my granddaughter. Not now. Not ever. One evening, as I tucked Monica into bed, she asked me something that broke my heart. "Grandma," she said softly, "am I ever going to go back to Mommy and Daddy?" I hesitated before answering, not wanting to give her false hope, but also wanting to reassure her. "I don't know, sweetie," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "But right now, you're with me, and you're safe. That's all that matters." Monica smiled, her small face lighting up with a sense of peace I hadn't seen in weeks. "I like it here," she whispered. "I feel safe." And that, right there, was all I needed to hear. Monica was going to be okay. She was going to heal. And no matter what happened with the court case, I would be there for her, every step of the way. The days following that evening with Monica were filled with mixed emotions. On one hand, I saw the transformation in her. She was beginning to find her voice again. She smiled more often, and I could feel her little hands gripping mine a little less tightly as the days went by. Her confidence was coming back, and she wasn't as afraid of everything around her. The nightmares had lessened, and the tension that had once consumed her every waking moment was slowly fading. But on the other hand, I knew that this wasn't over. The legal battle was just beginning. The court hearing was set for next week, and I had to prepare for whatever was about to unfold. I spent a lot of time talking to Dr. Veronica Herrera. Monica's psychologist had been working closely with her to make sure she was stable enough to testify. We needed her to be calm, confident, and, most importantly, safe. Dr. Herrera assured me that Monica was making progress, but it would take time. Her trauma was deep, and the road to recovery wasn't going to be quick. "Emily, I know this is hard for you, but Monica is resilient," Dr. Herrera told me one afternoon as we sat in my living room. "She's showing signs of improvement every day. And she's beginning to trust you and the people around her again. That's a huge step forward." "I just want to protect her," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "I'm so scared that this won't be enough, that the court won't see the damage that's been done." Dr. Herrera nodded, her face filled with understanding. "You're doing everything right. You've given Monica a safe space to heal. That's invaluable. But the court will need more. They'll need evidence of the psychological impact, and they'll need Monica's testimony. But we're prepared for that." I wasn't so sure. The idea of Monica having to stand in front of a judge and speak about the horrors she had experienced at home terrified me. She was still so small, so innocent. It didn't feel right that she had to carry the weight of this on her shoulders. "We'll be there to support her, Emily," Dr. Herrera reassured me. "She's stronger than you think." But I wasn't convinced. I wasn't sure if Monica was ready to relive the nightmare she'd been through, and I was terrified of what that might do to her. Days passed in a blur as we prepared. I reached out to Brenda and Jonathan, who had both witnessed the way Paula had treated Monica at the birthday party. They were willing to testify, but it wasn't enough. We needed the truth to come from Monica herself. We needed to show the court how deep the scars went, both physical and emotional. The evening before the hearing, I sat in the quiet of my house, thinking about everything. I had already gone through so many emotions, but now, as I sat in the stillness, everything seemed so uncertain. Monica was asleep in her room, the soft rise and fall of her little chest the only sign of peace in the house. I stood by her door for a moment, watching her, and a wave of protectiveness swept over me. No matter what happened tomorrow, I couldn't let her go back to that life. Not if there was any chance that she wasn't safe. The next morning, the day of the hearing, was surreal. It was like everything had led up to this moment. I could feel the weight of it on my shoulders, 1,000 thoughts running through my head. Monica was dressed in her best dress, the one I'd bought for her a few months ago. It was coral, and she looked like a little angel in it. I had done her hair, and for the first time in weeks, I saw the spark of a smile on her face. We arrived at the courthouse just before the hearing was set to begin. The building was imposing, cold, and sterile. I could feel the nerves building up inside me as we walked through the metal detectors and into the waiting area. Michael and Paula were already there, sitting with their lawyer on the opposite side of the room. I didn't look at them. I couldn't. Monica's hand gripped mine tightly as we sat down in the small, uncomfortable chairs. Her eyes were wide, but she didn't speak. She was scared, I could see that, but I needed to stay strong for her. I leaned down and whispered to her. Sweetie, remember what we talked about. You're safe here, okay? We're just going to tell the truth, and you don't have to be afraid. She nodded slowly, her face pale. I didn't want to push her too much, but I needed her to know she was in control. I needed her to understand that she didn't have to be afraid to speak the truth. This was her chance to be heard, her chance to take back some of the power that had been stripped from her. When it was time to go into the courtroom, we were led inside by a bailiff. The judge was already seated, his stern face giving nothing away. The room was filled with people, lawyers, witnesses, and a few others who I didn't recognize. The court reporter sat to the side, typing away at a machine that echoed through the room, marking the official record of everything that was said. The proceedings began, and my heart raced as Monica sat next to me, her small hand in mine. I could hear Michael's voice, his lawyer's voice, Paula's voice, but all I could focus on was Monica. The judge spoke, asking Michael and Paula's lawyer to present their case first. I heard the words, but they didn't register. They were arguing that Paula's actions were motivated by a desire to teach Monica discipline, that she had a medical condition that explained her behavior. Then, it was our turn. Dr. Herrera took the stand first, explaining Monica's progress and the psychological trauma she had suffered. Her words were powerful, but even more powerful was the evidence she provided: Monica's nightmares, her fear of returning home, the emotional regression she had undergone since being forced to live in that toxic environment. Finally, it was Monica's turn. I held my breath, praying that she would be strong enough to speak. The bailiff called her name, and she stood up slowly, her hand still clutched in mine. We walked up to the stand, and I could feel her trembling as she climbed into the chair next to the judge. Monica, the judge said gently, do you know why we're here today? She nodded slowly. Yes, sir, she whispered. To decide if I have to go back to my mommy and daddy. Do you want to go back? The judge asked, his voice kind but firm. Monica hesitated, glancing at her parents, then back at me. No, she said softly. I don't want to go back. I want to stay with Grandma. My heart nearly stopped. She was speaking her truth. And that truth was all I needed to hear. The judge asked her more questions, and Monica answered them quietly but confidently. She told him about her hair being shaved, about her fear of going home, and how she felt safe with me. When it was over, the judge asked for a recess. The next few hours felt like a lifetime. Monica and I waited in the hallway while the lawyers presented their closing arguments. I could see Michael and Paula talking quietly with their lawyer, but I didn't want to look at them. Finally, the moment arrived. The judge called us back into the courtroom, and we all stood as he read his decision. After reviewing the evidence and hearing the testimonies, the judge said, I have decided to extend temporary custody with Ms. Emily for a period of 6 months. During this time, Monica will continue therapy, and the parents will have supervised visits twice a week. These visits will gradually increase, depending on the progress made by the parents in therapy. I could feel the weight lift from my shoulders, but it wasn't over yet. The real work had just begun. I knew that the healing process was long, and that Monica would need all the support she could get. But for now, she was safe. As we walked out of the courtroom, Monica looked up at me and smiled. Grandma, am I safe now? I smiled back, my heart full. Yes, sweetie. You're safe now. The days following the court decision were a mix of relief and uncertainty. Monica's safety was now legally secured, but the battle wasn't over. She still had a long road ahead of her, and so did I. I had promised her that I would protect her no matter what, and I wasn't going to back down now. We spent the next few weeks settling into a routine. Monica's therapy sessions with Dr. Herrera were more frequent, and we began to build a sense of stability. The nightmares became less frequent, though I could still see the remnants of fear in her eyes every now and then. She would sometimes wake up in the middle of the night, clutching my hand and whispering, "Is Mommy still mad at me?" I would always reassure her, telling her that she was safe, that no one would ever hurt her again. But the truth was, I didn't know if she would ever feel completely safe around her parents again. I spent most of my time focusing on Monica. Every day, I made sure she felt loved and supported. We did everything together, from baking cookies to watching her favorite cartoons. I wanted her to know that she could be a kid again, that she could laugh without fear. Every time she smiled, every time she laughed, it felt like a victory. But there were still moments of doubt. Paula and Michael weren't going to give up easily. I knew they would fight for Monica, especially now that the court had given them a chance to prove themselves. I could hear it in Michael's voice every time he called, asking if he could see her. He sounded remorseful, but I couldn't help but wonder if his regret was enough. Was it enough to erase the damage that had been done? Was it enough to change the dynamic in their home? I didn't have the answers, but I knew one thing: I wasn't going to let Monica return to that toxic environment until I was certain she was safe. One afternoon, as I was getting dinner ready, my phone rang. It was Michael. "Mom," he said, his voice hesitant, "can we talk? I need to speak with you." I took a deep breath before answering. "What is it now, Michael? What more do you have to say?" "I've been thinking a lot about everything, and I realize I've failed Monica," he said, his voice strained with emotion. "I don't deserve to be her father, not after everything that's happened. But I'm asking for a chance. A real chance. I want to make things right." I could hear the pain in his voice, and for a moment, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe he was truly ready to change. Maybe he had finally seen the light. But then I remembered everything Monica had been through, everything she had suffered because of him. Could I trust him? Could I trust Paula? "I don't know, Michael," I said quietly. "You've had your chances. Monica's been through enough, and you haven't done enough to prove you can be the father she needs. You're asking for a chance, but I need more than just words. I need to see real change." "I understand," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. I want you to know that I'm trying. I'm doing everything I can. Paula's in therapy, too. I'm asking her to work on herself so she can be the mother Monica deserves." My mind raced. Could this really be the turning point? Could Paula really change? Could they both provide a safe, nurturing environment for Monica? Or was this just another round of empty promises? "You both have a lot of work to do," I said, my voice firm. "Monica is scared. She's still scared. And until I see proof that she's safe, she stays here. I'm not asking for perfection, Michael. But I am asking for responsibility. For real, consistent effort." There was silence on the other end of the line. Finally, he spoke. "I'm trying, Mom. I really am. And I'll prove it to you. Please, give me a chance to show you." I ended the call shortly after that, feeling conflicted. Could I really allow Michael and Paula back into Monica's life? The decision weighed heavily on my heart, but I knew I had to stay strong. Monica's well-being came first. The next day, I spoke with Dr. Herrera about the conversation I had with Michael. She listened carefully, her face thoughtful. "You're doing the right thing, Emily," she said gently. "You've given Monica a safe space to heal. But the reality is, the journey isn't over. There will be setbacks. There will be moments of doubt. But you're doing everything you can to protect her. You just have to continue listening to her, and trust your instincts." I nodded, though doubt still lingered in my heart. I didn't want to make the wrong choice for Monica. I didn't want to jeopardize her recovery. But how long could I keep her from her parents? As I pondered all of this, another thought crossed my mind. If Monica was ever to go back to them, it had to be on her terms. She needed to feel safe again, in her own time, not because someone told her she had to. That was the only way I could trust the process. A week later, Michael and Paula came over for their supervised visit with Monica. It was a difficult day for everyone. Monica was excited to see her parents, but there was a part of her that remained hesitant, a part of her that was still afraid. When they arrived, I watched from a distance as Monica hesitated at first. But then, slowly, she walked up to her father. "Daddy," she said quietly. Michael crouched down to her level, his face filled with emotion. "Monica, I'm so sorry," he said, his voice breaking. "I know I've hurt you. But I want you to know that I love you. And I'm going to do everything I can to be a better dad. You mean the world to me." Monica didn't speak for a moment. She just looked at him, her big brown eyes filled with a mix of love and uncertainty. Finally, she whispered, "I missed you." My heart ached as I watched them. She wasn't ready to forgive yet. I could see that. But there was something in her eyes, something that told me there was hope. She wasn't shutting him out completely. She was just scared. And that was okay. Healing took time. Paula also spoke to her, though her apology didn't seem as genuine. She kept saying the same things, that she was sorry, that she didn't mean to hurt her, that she had learned from her mistakes. But something in her tone didn't sit right with me. I wasn't sure I believed her. The visit ended without incident, but the unease lingered. Monica seemed exhausted afterward, her small body weighed down with emotions she couldn't yet understand. I tucked her into bed that night, her head resting on the pillow, her eyes closed in quiet reflection. "Grandma," she whispered, her voice soft and uncertain. "Do you think Mommy and Daddy will change?" I stroked her hair, feeling the weight of the question. "I don't know, sweetie. But I do know that you're safe here. And I'm always going to be here for you, no matter what happens." Monica smiled softly, the first real smile I had seen in days. "I love you, Grandma." And that was all I needed to hear. The road ahead was still unclear, but one thing was certain, I would fight for Monica. I would protect her with every ounce of strength I had. No one was ever going to hurt her again. And that is how I chose to fight for my granddaughter's safety, even when no one else would. Sometimes protecting the people we love means standing up against the ones closest to us. It isn't easy, it isn't simple, but love gives us the courage to do what's right. Monica's story is not just about pain, it's about healing, hope, and the promise that no child should ever be made to feel unloved or unsafe. I kept my promise to protect her, and I will continue to keep it, no matter what. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to give this video a like. And if you believe that no child should ever suffer in silence, then subscribe to the channel for more real stories of courage, strength, and survival. Share in the comments where you're watching from, because I want to know how far this story of love and protection reaches.